Welcome to Eat Your Peas, the podcast about doing what's good for yourself, even when you don't feel like it. I'm Lily Rachels, and I'm serving up bite-sized growth principles to help you build an intentional life. Welcome back to Eat Your Peas. Today we're looking at the difference between an internal and external processor. Simply put, an external processor talks to think, and an internal processor thinks to talk. When we become aware of how we process and how our partner or our child or someone else in our life processes, it will create better communication between the two of you, because then you're able to understand where they're coming from. Maybe you are someone that's an external processor and you don't understand why your internal processing loved one won't talk to you. Or maybe you process things internally and you just want to get away from that person that keeps trying to talk about it so you have time to think. So how do you know if you're internal versus external? If you're an internal processor, you may have difficulties coming up with what you want to say in the moment. And when people come to you and want to talk about something deep immediately, it can feel overwhelming. You may think about what you should have said like after the fact. If you're in a situation where maybe you're having a disagreement, emotions are running high, and you're feeling lost, you can't put your thoughts into words, but then after the fact, when you've had time to think about it, you're having that moment of, I should have done this, should have said this. You probably find yourself actually listening a lot more than you are talking. And again, you really need to carve out that alone time. Like you need time to think things through so that you can articulate them clearly. A few things that can help you process will be keeping a journal. Just writing down your thoughts that are, if they're feeling kind of like jumbled up in your head, if you get them out on paper, it can help things make more sense. And again, giving yourself adequate alone time and making sure you verbalize that to your partner, probably after you've thought about it, but verbalize that to your partner and let them know, hey, like, I need to think about this. I want to talk to you about it, but just give me a little time to think about it and get my thoughts straight. It's also okay to share your thoughts in writing. This might be the time to sit down and, write that letter to someone, even if you read it to them in person, just so you feel that you get everything out that you need to say, but it's all there and it's all thought through and it's all in order. If you are in a relationship with an internal processor, any type of relationship, and you are not an internal processor, you need to respect their need for time to think. Do not hassle them. Do not expect them to give you answers immediately. Give them their alone time. Give them their space because they need that. Whenever I'm having a conversation or something I need to discuss with someone that I know is an internal processor, I like to tell them ahead of time, hey, I have something I need to talk to you about. Could you come up with a good time for us to do that? And hey, this is what I want to talk to you about. And I kind of give them a quick little cliff note of this is what's going on. I need to talk about it. I know you probably want to think about it first. Will you just let me know a good time for us to come back to this and discuss? On the other hand, there are external processors. And I definitely fall into this category. These are the people that can just talk and talk and talk because that is how they think about things. You may be an external processor if in order to work through something, you need to call up a friend and talk about it. You might really enjoy brainstorming sessions. You might have a hard time keeping your thoughts and feelings inside when something is very emotional, when you're feeling kind of escalated, you have a lot going on. You're going to have a hard time keeping how you feel inside. And people in your life will generally know how you feel about most things because you'll probably tell them. You might talk out loud when no one's around just to kind of hear things and help you process them as you speak. And you might have some frustration when someone tries to offer you advice or how-to on something and how to fix something before you're done talking about it. Just like internal processors, writing can work well for you and or recording. I do that a lot. I'll have a voice memo on my phone, and when I have an idea or something that's kind of bothering me, sometimes I'll just record myself talking about it. And if I need to, I can listen back to it, and that just helps me process. Another key thing for you, if you're an external processor, is to have people you trust, like some confidants, some people that you can talk to and you know that that information is not going anywhere. If you're in a relationship with an external processor and you're not one, it's key to remember they may say something that they don't mean. And I know this has happened to me a lot when I'm trying to explain how I'm feeling about something, and I might talk for a while, and then by the end of it, I'm going to have this like well-curated, perfect little sentence that's going to sum up my feelings. But it can be messy getting there. And I found being in relationships with internal processors that sometimes they're looking at me overwhelmed because I just said all this stuff, and I'm like, no, none of that stuff matters. It's just what I said last. And that can be really difficult and can create a lot of miscommunication. So that's why it's so vital to know how your partner processes, because if you know how they process, it's easier to be like, okay, I know she said a lot of stuff. She's going to tie it up with a nice bow at the end, and I'm going to know what she actually means. And external processors, I know you need that open-mindedness from your partner, and sometimes you just need to talk. So ask for it. Ask for what you need. Say, hey, there's something I want to talk to you about. I don't need you to fix it. I really don't actually even want your advice right now. I need to talk to you. And the most important thing, remember what I said earlier. It's not good or bad to be external or internal. It's just different. And when we learn how our partner processes information, we can have our conversations about things in a much better light because we're going to communicate clearly. For your internal processor, they're going to come to you with a clear depiction of what they need to say if you allow them time to think. And for your external processor, if you give them that space to just talk it out, at the end of it, they're going to be able to tie up in a bow what they're thinking and feeling. Don't forget to eat your peas. Remember that we're all different and we all need different things.